Have you ever met someone who's just so confident, so sure of themselves, but when you really listen to them, you realize they don't know what they're talking about? And then, have you ever noticed how the truly wise ones, the real experts, often doubt themselves? They question, they hesitate, they say things like, "I might be wrong. What's going on here?" Welcome to one of the strangest and most frustrating truths about human psychology, the Dunning-Kruger Effect. Let me tell you a story. There was a guy named Eric. Smart guy. Or at least, he thought he was. He had strong opinions about everything, politics, business, even science. He wasn't afraid to speak up in meetings, shoot down other people's ideas, or give advice like he was some kind of guru. But the thing is, Eric didn't read. He didn't question. He didn't listen. He consumed just enough information to sound convincing, but not enough to understand what he was talking about. One day, he joined a trivia night at a local bar. The topic? General knowledge. Easy enough, right? Eric bombed. Badly. He missed basic questions, like who painted the Sistine Chapel, or which planet is closest to the sun. Meanwhile, the quiet intern from his office, who barely spoke a word, was answering everything with calm precision. Eric laughed it off. "Trivia's dumb anyway," he said. But something in him shifted that night. A small, uncomfortable thought crept in. What if I'm not as smart as I think I am? This, right here, is the Dunning-Kruger Effect. Psychologists David Dunning and Justin Kruger discovered that people with low ability at a task tend to overestimate their ability. In other words, the less someone knows, the more likely they are to think they know everything. Why? Because you need a certain level of knowledge just to understand what you don't know. And without that awareness, people fall into the illusion of competence. Let's break this down. Imagine knowledge as a circle. Everything inside the circle is what you know. But as that circle grows, your awareness of what's outside the circle grows too. At the beginning of learning something, say, cooking or investing or even self-development, it all seems pretty simple. You feel confident, maybe even a little cocky. But as you dig deeper, you start to see the complexity, the nuance, the things you didn't even know you didn't know. Suddenly, you feel uncertain, insecure. You think, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Ironically, that's when you're actually getting smarter. It's why beginners overestimate themselves, and experts underestimate. Now, think about it. This isn't just some psychological theory. You see it everywhere. The guy who's had one gym session giving you fitness advice. The social media influencer sharing medical tips with zero credentials. The loudest person in the room always talking, and the quietest one actually listening. Confidence, in this world, is cheap. Real competence? That's rare. And it gets worse. The Dunning-Kruger effect doesn't just mess with how we see ourselves, it warps how we see others. Because when you think you already know everything, you stop listening. You stop learning. You reject feedback. You double down on wrong ideas because admitting you're wrong would mean facing the truth. You're not as smart as you thought. And here's the kicker. Even knowing about this effect doesn't protect you from it. Let that sink in. You could be watching this right now, thinking, yeah, I know someone exactly like this. But the harder truth is, we're all like this. At some point, in some area of life, we've all been Eric. So how do we escape it? One word, humility. Not the fake kind. Not the humble brag. Not the social media caption that says grateful while fishing for likes. Real humility. The kind that says, I might be wrong. The kind that asks questions instead of assuming answers. The kind that listens, reflects, and admits, I don't know enough. Because here's the paradox. The more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know. And that's not weakness. That's wisdom. Want to change someone's mind? Don't argue. Don't lecture. Don't fight. Plant seeds. Share ideas gently. Let time and experience do the work. Because beliefs don't change in a debate. They change in silence. In solitude. In the quiet discomfort of self-reflection. Eric? He didn't change overnight. But something cracked in him after that trivia night. He started noticing all the areas in life where he'd been overconfident. Where he'd spoken without understanding. Where he hadn't asked questions because he thought he already knew the answers. He picked up a book. Then another. Started following people who challenged his views. Listened to podcasts instead of arguing in comment sections. He even reached out to the intern to grab coffee and just learn. Slowly, curiosity replaced ego. He didn't become a genius, but he became a learner. And that changed everything. So the next time someone seems way too confident for their own good, pause. And the next time you feel certain, pause again. Because the smartest people aren't the ones with all the answers. They're the ones with better questions. This is Inspiration Codex, where we question everything, starting with ourselves. If this hit home, give it a like. Subscribe for more. And share it with someone who might need a mirror, not a megaphone. Until next time, remember, the moment you think you've got it all figured out, that's when you've stopped growing. Stay humble. Stay learning.